Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming today and being here with us for this very special concert. And I'm so grateful to Jason and to all of our staff that have helped to put everything together. We'll give you some more information. Beth is going to come up and give you a little bit more information about the benefit part of everything. But I just wanted to welcome everybody and thank you for coming today, and for the guests who are here. Who this is not your place of worship, but you have come, been invited. Please know that you are so welcome. We're so glad that you're here, and we want you to know that you are in for an amazing treat. And so we're all going to be blessed here in just a moment. But I'm going to actually, by the way, my name is Leon. I'm the lead pastor here, and I'm here for like another 2 weeks, and then I'm gone for 3 months. So not that I'm counting or anything. But I want to, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to introduce, this is Beth Mueller, our Senior Director of Worship Arts, and she's going to take it from here.
So I've been here at Shepherd for 16-ish years, and just before I came on staff, this church had the incredible wisdom to hire Dr. Jason Kwok to be our accompanist. And if you've been around Jason, you know how ridiculous that title is for somebody of his talent and caliber as a musician. In his day job, Jason is the chair of the piano department at Texas State University in San Marcos. And so this was your brainchild, right? The piano festival was Jason's thing. And he started it some years ago. I'll let him fill in some of those blanks for me. But back years ago, like 8 or 9, I think, we had a wonderful woman in the choir who said to Jason, I want to contribute $300 towards scholarships for this piano festival. And then she passed away. And so Jason and I were talking about this, and I said, Jason, Louisa's not the only one in this congregation that wants to support this work and this ministry that you do. And so we sort of cooked up this idea of having a benefit concert. And for many years, we have had students who are in the Austin area come and perform. And every year, I would say, Jason, why don't you just play something too? That would be so fun if you would just play something. And he's always said, no, it's about the kids, it's about the kids. Well, this year, it's all about Jason. And I'm so thrilled beyond measure that we get to see Jason Kwok cut loose on the piano in ways that we don't get to see on a Sunday morning. Lots of you have asked me as you walked in the door, who do we make the checks out to? And I love that question so much because we truly do want to be a congregation that supports Jason, but even more importantly, supports these young people who are budding, amazing musicians. And coming to a piano festival is an expensive endeavor, and we have so many students who come from all over the world, and it simply isn't possible unless we support the arts in this way. So we're so thrilled to be hearing from actually the Jason himself this year. And I'm going to let Jason tell us about the piece that he's performing and give us sort of the background. But yay, let's welcome Dr. Jason Kwok. And Jason, tell us who to make the checks out to. He's going to tell us. Okay. And if you make it out to SHPC, we will get it to him. But it's probably easiest if we go straight to the piano.
Well, thank you, Pastor Leon, and thank you, Beth. This has been a wonderful ride over here, and I stand up here very humbly and very proud to be the pianist, the accompanist over here at Shepherd of the Hills. And this is something I've enjoyed doing for several years now. Something that Beth was talking about with the piano festival, I wanted to share with you a little story of something that happened this year. About 6 years ago, I met this incredible young man in Costa Rica, but he was actually from El Salvador. He's not supposed to be good on the piano because he's from El Salvador. He is incredible. I've never seen anybody play with so much heart. And he found his way to doing a graduate degree here in the U.S. in Colorado. In 2020, we sent out applications for one of the big competitions that we were going to host that year, 2020. And he actually made it to the finals, one of 6. We made that decision in March, and in April, we had to, of course, cancel everything. Last year, we just had a virtual festival. So this year, that competition that we had set up in 2020, we are hosting this year. Well, Alejandro gives me a call in February and going, thank you for inviting me to, we're still holding my finalist spot, but I won't be able to make it. I went, what's wrong? What can I do, Alejandro? He goes, I haven't seen my parents in 3 years because of the pandemic. And with the money that I have left over, it's either this or that. I went, Alejandro, how much is the plane ticket? He goes, around $400. I went, congratulations, you just got a $400 scholarship from us. I don't know where that comes from. And the story that I told you, it might sound like I'm a nice guy, which I hope I am, but that's not the point. And I want everybody to understand this. The biggest reason for this piano festival is I truly believe if we build the community, the piano community ourselves, it will spread and it will provide more opportunities for everybody. If we invest $400, which is very small amount, into a young man from El Salvador, I no longer will say things like you're not supposed to be good at piano from El Salvador. Because if we plant him in there, something incredible is going to happen. I know this because this has already happened through the festival in Guatemala. This has happened in Nicaragua. This has happened in Ecuador. And we have sort of brought Western kind of style of teaching into Indonesia and Malaysia. So when I say we're proud of the things that we're doing with the piano festival, I really, really mean that we're going to continue doing this. I believe I wrote on the program itself that the festival is now hosted students from 42 different countries. And last year, there was this wonderful student named Nikki Way who came from Sydney, which made continent number 6. So my goal in the next few years to go grab a penguin out of Antarctica so we can go say we got our 7th. Well, thank you all for being here. This is extremely humbling for me that you guys will take the time to do this. And please know that any gift that you provide will go into changing somebody's lives. This will never go into something silly like the faculty bar tab or anything like that. These are all designated for scholarships. Basically, I've told this story a few times. Our festival right now, we run every year at around $120,000 budget. And from tuition, we might get $16,000. So we really keep the tuition very low. And everything else, we do it through generosities. And we've had some wonderful donors, especially Shepherd of the Hills. We always have a beautiful ad in our program featuring this church, so always proud to see that. We are here to make a difference in the piano world, and that was always the goal. And I'm so humbled that I can come here at my church and have you guys come on out to support. So truly, thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I want to tell you a little bit about the piece that I'm going to perform today. We write the easiest thing to do is write the checks to Texas State, or the other one is TSIPF, which is Texas State International Piano Festival, okay? If it's Texas State, I can tell them that it's for me. Then it's going to go into the right direction. So if you make it out to SHPC or a couple of years, some people have made it out to me directly, and while it was tempting, I gave it back. But we want to make sure that it goes to the right people. Okay. As Beth mentioned, I know we usually have a bunch of students with incredible fingers perform for you. I am basically the opposite of what you usually have here. I'm old and my fingers have, I always say my fingers have a dad bod. But, you know, what I like to say is what I've lost in my dexterity, I've gained in wisdom. Yeah, that usually works. Regardless, I hope you will enjoy today's presentation. It is my great pleasure to be here to give you this presentation on Modest Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. Pictures at an Exhibition is arguably the most famous character piece to come out of Russia. Its famous melodies are recognized by both musicians and non-musicians alike. For example, you might have heard one of its melodies featured in children's cartoons. I'm going to stop right over there. Who here is like me and a child from the 80s? Who remembers the Smurfs? Okay, you're going to hear some melodies that you're going to go, aha, Azrael. Okay. Some sporting events, television commercials, movies. Recently, someone mentioned to me that the Great Gate of Kiev, the last suite from the Pictures and Exhibition, is now the entrance music to a professional wrestler. Has anybody here heard of John the King Lawler? Jerry the King Lawler. Supposedly, that's his entrance music. I can picture Mussorgsky rolling over in his grave right now. Today's performance of Pictures and Exhibition will feature the original version, or the solo piano version. However, it is hardly the only version in existence. You might be more familiar with the orchestra version, most likely the transcription of the French composer Maurice Ravel. Altogether, there are 13 orchestral versions of Pictures at an Exhibition. Even more amazing, there are still 13 more versions with the widest range of instrumentations. Notice the obscure versions, including number 2, which is Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, and number 12, which is 44 pianists. It's a lot of fingers. Ever since I started preparing this work, I've always thought about how neat it would be to perform this piece while displaying the actual pictures Mussorgsky was depicting in his music. In today's performance, I will be showing those pictures in a PowerPoint presentation. As a performing artist, it has always been very fascinating to bring in aspects of visual art to performances. But before the performance, I would like to discuss some historical aspects of the work. Modest Mussorgsky was born on March 21st, 1839, in the village of Karaval in the province of Pskov. He died in St. Petersburg on March 28, 1881. He composed his cycle of piano pieces, Pictures at an Exhibition, in June of 1874, 1 year after the death of close friend and architect and artist Victor Hartmann. Victor Hartmann died in August of 1873 of an aneurysm. His early death at the age of 39 came just as he reached a point where he might have been able to realize some of his concepts. This utter waste of talent through early death greatly distressed Mussorgsky, who also reproached himself for not recognizing and acting on the signs of Hartmann's fatal condition. If it were not for Pictures at an Exhibition, Hartmann would now be almost completely forgotten. Little, if any, of his architectural works now remain, and his work as a painter, illustrator, designer is very short-lived. The following year after Hartmann's passing, an exhibition was organized in honor of Hartmann by critic Vladimir Stasov, and Mussorgsky visited the exhibition to view the gallery. Many believe that it was this very stroll through the gallery that became the most famous gallery stroll of all time. It was this very visit which inspired Mussorgsky to compose Pictures at an Exhibition. Mussorgsky, who loved Hartmann passionately and was deeply moved by his death, planned to draw in music the best pictures of his deceased friend, representing himself as he strolled through the exhibition, joyfully or sadly recalling works of the highly talented deceased artist. Pictures at an Exhibition illustrates 10 of Hartmann's images with the recurring promenade. If you look at your program, you'll see the word promenade written. For those not too familiar with this work, refer to your program and notice promenade. The promenade represents Mussorgsky walking from exhibit to exhibit. As you listen to the performance, you will notice each of the promenades portraying different moods while maintaining the same melody. Each mood not only represents Mussorgsky's reaction from the previous artwork, but also prepares him for the next work. It's a beautiful story, isn't it? And while this story makes up a perfect background information for Pictures at an Exhibition, I should let you in on a little secret. Out of the 10 pictures illustrated in the work, only 3 actually appeared in the exhibition he attended. The Ballad of the Unhatched Chicks, which was a costume design, Baba Yaga's Hut, and the Great Gate of Kiev, the one design that was never built. And those are three of Hartman's works. Of the others, most were based on pencil drawings, some from Mussorgsky's private collection of Hartman's works, and others that he had seen somewhere. The first painting in the suite, the gnome, was actually a design for a toy nutcracker. Tuliere was a scene from an empty garden with no quarreling children. Bydlo, Polish for cattle, was probably a drawing of some ox cart. Two Jews, one rich and other poor, or Samuel Goldenberg and Schmuel, were actually separate drawings, and the catacombs were a somewhat fanciful drawing that pictured Hartman in the Paris tombs. Finally, two images, the old castle and the marketplace at Limoges, seem to have been just pieces composed by the composer. Hence, as I displayed the pictures tonight or today, you will find some omissions by Hartman. However, because of the popularity of this piece, many artists since Hartman have come up with artwork of their own to depict the music of Mussorgsky. The first set of artwork is fiddling titled Pictures at an Exhibition Project. This exhibit was conceived by Susan Armington, a visual artist who always wondered what the pictures looked like that inspired Mussorgsky. Because little remains of the original artwork by Hartman, and the pieces that remain lack the vitality and power of Mussorgsky's music, Armington came up with the idea of recreating a room full of new pictures to go with the music. In this exhibit, the pictures are created by 10 artists, different artists for each movement of the music. The idea of including 10 artists instead of just one adds a dimension to the experience by illuminating the variety of ways an artist can approach the project. Some artists focus on capturing the mood or feeling of the music, others focus on internal structure, and still others use the music as a point of departure for further artistic exploration. The project is more than simply putting Mussorgsky into images. It is about the interactions between music and art and its interpretation. How can visual art parallel the experience of music? How can music shape visual art? What are the different ways artists and audience members experience interaction? I've always found the efforts of Pictures at an Exhibition Project very interesting in an ironic way. While Mussorgsky wrote music to depict visual art of Hartman, the project created visual art to depict the music of Mussorgsky. It looks like we've made a full circle. The 10 artists involved in the project all live in Minnesota. They work in a range of media, including watercolor, textiles, pastels, collage, acrylics, oil, and mixed media. The Pictures at an Exhibition project was first displayed in 2001 in conjunction with the performance of Pictures at an Exhibition by the Minnesota Orchestra. The second set of artwork I will be showing tonight are paintings by artist Cristina Rodriguez. Cristina Rodriguez, who knew Mussorgsky's composition well, decided to research the original inspiration of the piece, the pictures of Victor Hartman. She was surprised to find that the richness and depth of Mussorgsky's music was not matched in the works of Hartman. Perhaps Mussorgsky's music was enriched as much by his affection for and memories of his good friend than by the quality of his work. I think that criticism was a little bit unfair by Cristina Rodriguez, but those were her words. Like the Pictures at an Exhibition project, Cristina Rodriguez decided, in a sense, to reverse the story to start with Mussorgsky's music and produce 10 paintings from 10 movements. The 10 paintings became Cristina Rodriguez's degree show in 1987 and set her on career as a narrative painter. It was formative also in that Cristina Rodriguez worked closely with the space for her exhibition, producing works that related to it. A video about the story, the design of the invitation. For Cristina Rodriguez, the exhibition itself has always been a memorable experience. Ms. Rodriguez currently resides in London, and her works are displayed throughout the world in private collections. I have been in contact with Ms. Rodriguez several times, letting her know the various venues I've displayed her art. She wishes to pass along her best and is very grateful towards Pictures at an Exhibition, which has allowed her artwork to be displayed everywhere, including SHPC. This is not included in my lecture, but the final thing that I would like to say is, this is my Well, I haven't performed this piece in 10 years until this spring. I actually put it away around 2011 because the best way that I could describe it is I began to get typecasted with this piece. I became like Kramer from Seinfeld in the classical music world. But I will tell you, the piece has been incredible for me. You know, when I first started this research project over here, and I did it in a recital, I've been invited by a couple of orchestras, including Minnesota and Victoria and one in South Korea, for me to play the solo piano version in the first half and them to play the orchestra version in the second half while displaying these pictures. So I am one of the very, very rare. I've made tens of thousands of dollars performing this piece. That's something most classical musicians won't really be able to say. So I owe this piece a lot. So I remember when I thought I had the perfect performance of it back in 2011, I actually put it away. That's enough. But then after 10 years, it was calling me again, especially with the pandemic. So this is, I believe, my 7th performance of it this spring. So yes, it's been fun. I've gone quite a few places with this, so. But this is the big one. So I hope you enjoyed this performance of pictures at an exhibition. So please include the pictures. And one of the things that I want to encourage all of you guys is, this is not a secret. You know, classical performances can be very stuffy with the audience. If something is funny, laugh. If something is interesting, you want to point it out to your spouse, please do so. Okay, you won't offend me. So I hope you enjoyed this entire 30-minute experience of pictures at an exhibition. Thank you.
Amen.